going on, all you lovely people? Welcome back to my channel. My name is Mike O'Hora, and this is a lovely penguin. Welcome back to my channel, guys. Hopefully you just came from my reaction to Boy in Love. It's a very, very fun, energetic, and exciting song. Plus, it's got a really interesting and fun music video as well. So we're going to be checking that out. We're going to be breaking down some of the set pieces that we've seen throughout the video. And, yeah, I think there's going to be some cool things that you might be excited to see. So let's go ahead, dive right in. And before we do that, please go ahead, check out my Patreon for all sorts of exclusive content. And then, yeah, sub to the channel, you dork. Right at the beginning of the video, we get to see this awesome big room that they have going for them right here. It's a nice big classroom. It's emptied. You know, you got the chairs that are all kind of stacked, as well as the desks, which is weird that they're stacked in front of the chalkboard. But, you know, sometimes that is what you do, I guess, in a school. But it's got that kind of same vibe that they've had through most of their earlier videos, where it's everything's a little bit grungy, it's a little dirty, if you would. So this classroom doesn't look super clean at all. You notice on the walls they all have a bit of dirt smudged on them as well. We've talked about this multiple times in multiple other videos of different ways that you can actually paint the walls to look like that. First, you paint it all regular, just like you would. And then a lot of the times what you do is you just get like a darker coat of the same color. And then you just kind of lightly put it on like a roller or something so it doesn't fully saturate and hit every bit of the wall. It just lightly kind of goes on there, and it makes it look like dirt and scuff marks. And then on top of it too is like they could have actually just gotten some dirt and just rubbed it on the walls and stuff too. It all depends on how the art department was feeling that day. Now, I will say this, you'll also notice as well that they have these windows here, and you can actually see there's a bit of reflections here. So most likely what they did is that they have a piece of plexiglass going over the entire front end of it, and then behind that they have the diffusers that are covering it up so you can't actually see out, but also it kind of helps the lights that are blasting into the room not be too much, because if there's too much lighting, everything gets distorted, or they get blown out is what they usually say. Whites get too much and then they glow. Like for me, when I get lit for any sort of time I'm in front of a camera, they have to really dull it down because I'm so pale that I glow. Looks like I have superpowers. But still, it's a very cool set. They also cut in some skylights as well, where they kind of have the same exact thing going on the windows without the bars and whatnot. And then actually you can tell that outside here is the hallway that they built as well, which is really, really nice. It's a nice little touch as well, because inside of the studios that they build these things in, they're gigantic. So there's enough room for you to have one big room and then connect it to the next big room and then to a hallway and yada yada and so on and so forth. So it's a very, very cool little set. And then when the boys finally get into it as well, they have some shots where they have extras in there. They're using the same desks that were in there already. It's just they just put them out like a classroom like you would. And then for the most part too, all these notebooks and pens and stuff, all prop stuff. I mean, for the most part, pens, you just buy regular pens. It's not a big deal. But for the notebooks, you can see that actually has a printed out paper that they just wrote a bunch of things and then highlighted a little bit. And then he's drawing like a moon or something on there as well. So it's little simple things, but it adds to the ambiance of the scene. It kind of adds a cool little flair. It's nice. We love it. Let's get to when they actually start dancing. Oh, actually, no, I like this bathroom. So it's funny too, you get to see Jimin in this bathroom. He's mopping the floors for whatever reason at the start of the video here. And I will say this too, I wonder if this is an actual bathroom or not. Because there was a studio I worked at recently where they had a bunch of different sets, like all around this building. It was 3 stories up, and they had a bunch of different sets already set up that you can come in, you can readjust it to however you want it to look. And one of those sets was a bathroom, and it was a fully working bathroom. It's just they would use it for different shoots rather than it just to be a bathroom. So it was a genuine thing. Like, you could flush the toilets and everything. So I wonder if they did that for this as well. Because if they didn't, then all they had to do is buy or rent out these stalls. And for the most part, they're not super hard to install, really. Because all you're really doing is just kind of leaning them up against the wall. Maybe throwing a screw or two through the wall just so that it'll secure it and make sure it doesn't actually fall over. For the most part, nothing's really touching it. And then for the toilets, we'll be seeing Jimin sit inside of one of these stalls here. They're just toilets. Like, you don't have to secure them to anything. They just sit on the floor. That's it. So if these aren't actually already put in toilets, then that's what it would be, you know? And then the rest of the stuff, it's all stuff that they would bring, you know? So they would bring in this mop, the buckets, even the flyers and stuff that are posted around there are just things that they brought, dirtied up a little bit, and then you stick it to the wall, kind of tear them up a little. A lot of the times what we'll do when I'm putting up flyers that we want to look all kind of crinkly and old and bad looking is we'll just print them up, and then I'll just kind of crumple them up. I even put them in a pile, jump on them, whatever, just so they kind of get torn up a little bit and they're kind of in ratty shape. And then, you know, if you really wanted to add that little extra splash of dirt or whatever, is spray paint. Spray paint's a really great way to add on and kind of distort the colors of it. You could use like a light gray, or you could even use like a brown, and it'll just kind of add that little bit of dirt look to it where you're barely spraying it. I'm talking like holding the can like 5 feet away from the dang thing, so it barely mists onto it. But even just that little mist will make it look dirtier than if it was just freshly printed. You know what I mean? So yeah, and then we get to see the boys. They're back. They're in this classroom. The music video started. Let me turn the subtitles off here. And yeah, they got a big chalkboard in the back too, which is also really awesome. A really cool little feature there. And then somebody took the time to write out a whole bunch of different math equations. I would be curious to know, it's hard to see from here, and we don't really get any close-up shots of it, but it'd be interesting to know if they actually put real math equations or not, or if it's just all scribbled on there or whatever to make it look kind of real. Wouldn't be surprised if they did that to make it look kind of real. I mean, they did some graphs and stuff, but that's not hard to fake at all. So, would be curious. So, the first time we really get to see the hallways, besides in that like short little intro bit, is when the boys are all walking together. This is a really cool shot, mainly because there's not much going on in terms of background stuff, of props, of set. It's because they're getting blown out by the light that's shining through behind the door. It's a really, really cool feature that makes the video look a little bit more intense. It kind of adds to their shine as well. But for the most part, like I said, they kind of threw up a bunch of posters. They got a nice exit sign to go over the doors, which is a touch that some people wouldn't even think about, but it makes sense because you would have those in a school. And then they even walked past a couple of lockers back here, but we're going to talk about those in a little bit. But it's cool because a lot of the shots that are in the hallway are all literally in this one hallway. They're just shot at different angles, looking different ways, you know? And that's a great way to use the set so that it looks like you're in a whole bunch of different areas. So, as you can see, we're further down the hallway now. The boys have walked even further. Here's some more lockers as well. A bunch of flyers. There's some classroom doors and whatnot. And actually, an interesting thing that I'm just noticing now is the ceilings. Those ceilings are actually made of wood. They are what the back sides of most walls look like. That's what it is, but they just painted it gray to make it look like a concrete or like a metal ceiling. But yeah, a lot of the times this is what it'll look like when you're looking at the backside of a wall. Usually the struts would be a little bit more narrow rather than it just being squares. It'd be more rectangular. But either way, I mean, you can make them however you want. So they would make this more specific to look symmetrical for the ceiling. But still, it's kind of funny to see that that's what it is. So this is an interesting shot as well because I feel like this is supposed to be RM in like a principal's office, but at the same time it also looks kind of dark and dingy just like the rest of the school, which is an interesting kind of vibe. I mean, obviously it's like the posters and stuff, although, excuse me, I stand corrected. This is not the principal's office. This is like the school radio, I guess, because I don't know. He's got the on-air sign here. He's got the speaker, the microphone. He even got a mixing board. Sorry, that's like a DJ's turntable type thing, as well as the mixing board right in front of him. So yeah, this has got to be some sort of like studio / like radio area. I don't know if that's like a normal thing in Korea or not. I have no idea. We didn't have that in my school growing up, but you know, to each their own. But for the most part too, yeah, you just rent all this stuff. You rent all the equipment. Even the CDs and the Coke bottle here, even though they took off the label so you can't see it. I mean, the Coke bottle could be just a purchase. You know, they could have just actually had a Coke bottle and then just stripped the label off of it. But yeah, that's the cool thing about the smaller props is like they're not that expensive, so like you could just buy them and have them. Like this CD collection could have just been somebody's CD collection that they brought. You never know. So it's funny too. This scene with Suga and the gal in the video here, it's the same hallway. It's just lit a little bit differently, and it's shot at a slightly different angle, so it kind of looks like they're in a different area, you know. So it's interesting, and also especially with the close up too, it just adds to the feeling that they're not in the same spot, you know. All right, here we go. Here's here's Jin pushing this poor girl into the locker. For the most part, I believe those are genuine lockers. A lot of the times, you can actually see they come in threes. You can rent these out. Typically, if it's going to be more like an actual school shoot, like for like a TV show or a movie or something along that lines where kids will be interacting with them or the actors will be interacting with them, you would typically screw them into the wall so that they're secure and there's no worry about the whole thing shifting and whatnot. But yeah, obviously for this one, they're just placed. You can tell as he pushes her into the locker and the whole thing tilts backwards. But yeah, no, you can get those. They're totally metal. They're just like real lockers. They're another thing that are easily rentable. Some studios just have stuff like that around. I know that there's a bunch of studios I've been to that have lockers just in case they need them. That building that I was talking about earlier that has the bathroom set, they had multiple lockers in case people needed to film locker scenes or whatever. Even at Zach King's studio, there was some lockers there too. You know, some people just have them. They're not the worst investment, to be honest, because then once you use them, they can become storage. You know, they can like you can actually just put stuff in there and have them as lockers. Especially if you're in a studio where people work, then it's like you have a locker for them. They can put their personal items and lock them away. You know, there's not much different about this scene. Obviously, they're gonna get to see a bunch of the different guys go up and talk with our lovely lady here. And what they did is they darked out the room. They turned off all the side lights and all that. So the only light that's going on is the one directly above the window or the star light. Is that it? The window on the ceiling. I forgot what they're called. I'm blanking on it right now. But yeah, the light's coming through there and it just really lights them up. Obviously, the guys are all in the background. It's the classroom from before. It's the classroom we've been in for a majority of the video. It's just lit differently. So it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool in the last few seconds of the video where they're kind of having their dance break in the classroom. where they set off some sparklers, and it kind of looks like there's like an electrical malfunction in the building, which is like causing it, but it just adds a really cool highlight as well. Like I say over and over again in most videos, there would typically be some sort of fire person, fire specialist around if we were going to film something like this, because obviously they're shooting it around a wood set, and that can be dangerous. So you would want to make sure you have somebody like that. I don't know if there's a difference in Korea versus what we do here, but yeah. Be safe if you're ever going to use fire, please. And then very, very briefly in the video, we get this really cool, like, outside of the school area that we get to see here. Also built in whatever studio that they were filming the video in. They're obviously really well lit from the back, so that you're not really paying attention too much to what's going on. But you can see they got a couple of draped over flags and stuff that are kind of representing the school. They got an old basketball hoop with like the chain net on it. They got a fence over here. A lot of this stuff is all going to be rental things. It's also kind of funny. They have a little seat there. I don't know what that's about. But yeah, this is stuff that you can pretty much rent for the most part. It's a really, really cool build by the carpenters who built this. Obviously, they have a couple of stairways that go up, and each spot has a different level that you can get to as well. However, you don't really ever see the guys going up on it. They mainly are just right down here for the very end of the video. But either way, it's a really cool set piece, to be honest. But yeah. So yeah, guys, this was another really, really great music video from BTS, especially seeing it as it's one of their earlier videos. And they didn't have as much funds to go crazy and do these big extravagant videos. This still is really, really well done. And you can see the quality increasing with each video as well. This one's definitely a step up from what we've seen from them before. So yeah, guys, that'll do it. So please, if you have the chance, go check out the Patreon and the link down below. As well, we got we got Twitch and the Discord links down there as well. So please join me on one of those if you would be so kind. And then otherwise, guys, I love you. Stay aggressively positive. Have a fantastic week. And yeah, that's it. Bye.